Hope you got some rest.
Not that time.
Nice. Hey, everybody. This is Mesh Live Coding from Gimbalabs and Friends. We get together every Tuesday. We started a couple weeks ago, getting together at 1300 UTC on Tuesdays. This is the website, gimbalabs.com/calendar. You can see these times in your local time. And if you click right here, you can find the link to register for the Zoom meeting. So if you want to think about JavaScript, TypeScript, Cardano development, this is the place where we get together. We've been meeting for a few weeks with the same agenda. What do you want to build? What do you want to learn? Set some priorities and we jump in. I took the lead for most of the first two sessions, and then Chris really jumped in and took us for a little tour as we were starting to build some image functionality, thinking about NFTs a week ago. So sticking with this agenda once again, just to see where everybody's at and set some specifics here. I was hoping we could just go through if there's anything particular people want to think about building, revisit the things we want to learn and see if there's anything to add to this list, and then we'll decide what to do today. I'll grab a link to this Miro, it's public, and drop it in the Zoom chat. So feel free to jump in here and add your own notes, but I'm also happy just to hear what everybody's thinking. So first question, what do you want to build? What's something that we should try to create together?
I would like to continue with the GraphQL and everything we see last week, if it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So making queries to the blockchain, getting some information, and then doing something useful with it.
Yes.
Cool.
I was
And
taking a look at the NFT gallery in PBL 2023, but I'm not sure if I have to. Probably I have to get the libraries, and I'm not sure how to get it.
cool. On that one, what would feel better? Would you want to take a look at your code again, or do you want me to drive today?
If you want, hope don't have any problem sharing screen.
Cool, cool. Yeah, so maybe we jump into that in just a sec. But before we keep going, that's one thing we could build is practice building this NFT gallery, which gives us a chance to look at how queries are constructed with GraphQL, gives us a chance to think about transaction metadata, which is a great concept. How would it feel to focus on these things today? All right. And Chris, you want to write some code for us? I can stop sharing.
Yes, if you want.
Let's do
Absolutely.
it.
Okay.
And once you got that up, let's first look. I can't remember where we left off setting you up with like a GraphQL provider. Do we have anything like that? Um, all right. So we've got the basic application. I think the first thing we really want to do together here is set up a way to pull GraphQL into your project. And if you have, let's see, what's the best thing for us to use these days? In the PPBL course, we were using a library called Apollo, which provides like Apollo client, and that allows us to get GraphQL queries. More recently, let me see how easy the onboarding to this is. And Chris, do you still have sound? I wasn't sure.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Okay, just making
Okay.
sure.
Did you see
Uh,
my screen, right?
yeah, got your screen. And how does that sound? Does that make sense? Let's try to just get a GraphQL query working in your
Yes,
project. Yeah,
absolutely.
let's do that. All right, so I'm going to send you a little bit of documentation here. Give me 1 second.
Gonna be in the chat.
Yeah, I'll put some links in the chat in just a second. I just want to make sure I'm giving you the right thing. Oh, I guess, okay. Let's use that. All right. I think we can have just enough fun with this guy right here. So are you using NPM or Yarn or something else?
NPM.
Okay. So here, let's pull this guy into the project with some docs.
Right here in the terminal.
Yeah, so Control C just to stop your server. Does that work? Yeah, there you go. And then, yeah, you can paste that directly in here. Cool. Now, in your components directory over on the left-hand side, let's just create another new component. We can call it anything you want, like GraphQL test, new file. Let's call it like GraphQL test.tsx.
GraphQL.
Yep,
What else?
test, just because we'll do a little test transaction so you have an example, .tsx. And then before you save that, just capitalize the leading G because we're going to build a little component about this. All
Okay.
right. Now we'll open that file and you can look back to my wallet component as the example. Right? It's the other file you have at the top of the screen.
This one?
And yeah, how long is this file? It's not too long, right? Pretty
Uh,
simple.
yeah.
Right? Yeah, you can minimize the terminal for now. We won't need that for the next few minutes. Perfect. Yeah, so let's just copy these 16 lines into GraphQL test. That's some boilerplate for us. Yeah, right there. Okay, and we won't need use wallet yet, so you can delete lines 1 and 4.
Let me know this, please.
And try this when you go to line 4, just put your cursor there and hold Control X, or sorry, Command X. And the whole thing just drops away. You don't even need to highlight it. And so same thing, line 10, we can delete that for now. And let's get rid of those paragraph tags as well. You see how those are inside of a heading? You don't want a paragraph inside of a heading. Things will get confused. Okay, now give this a title, and let's just call it GraphQL test, like the name of the file. Okay, and then up on line 3, same thing, change the words my wallet to GraphQL test. Okay, you can save this and then go back to the index file. I can see it open at the top of your screen. And if you scroll down, you'll see how we're importing a little farther. Cardano wallet, and a little farther, my wallet component, you see. And so let's switch or just add, right? You can copy lines 66 through 68. Just make a copy of those below. Okay. And instead of asset lists, this is GraphQL test. And it should eventually show up there.
That's it.
There you go. Perfect. All right, so now your dummy component is ready to go. And if you start the server, you'll see it in the UI. But let's build a few things into this, okay? So I sent a link to the documentation for the GraphQL request library that we're going to be able to use here. If you can open that in a browser. And we can only see your VS Code right now. Oh yeah, perfect. This will be good to see.
Yeah.
And can you switch your screen sharing so we can see the browser too?
Oh, you don't see it?
Yeah, we can see VS Code still.
Let me see. I'm not familiar sharing screen, so
Thank you. No, I appreciate what you're doing. This is out of the comfort zone. It's really good.
maybe I'm gonna stop sharing and do it again because
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. I
some
usually do that. Beautiful. And we can see our little GraphQL test component there. It's not decorated yet, but that's totally fine, right?
uh-huh.
Uh, very good. So you've got a little bit of styling on these guys. That's great. Now let's head over to the documentation for that GraphQL request library I sent you in the chat. So if you have your Zoom chat available,
Yes. You see the screen?
I can see, all I can see is VS Code now, it looks like, but I
Okay.
think Zoom doesn't let you see the chat.
You don't see the chat?
No, but you've got the link, right?
Yes.
NPM JS, yeah, GraphQL request, perfect. All right, so we can take a look at this together. If you scroll down a little bit, it shows you the very basic usage of this library. Okay. So scroll past highlights. right? We just installed this using npm add GraphQL request GraphQL, okay? And so let's just try to get this quick start working. Let's see what happens. So copy all that, yeah. And we're going to use the GraphQL test component to do this.
Where should I import that?
Into your file GraphQL test that we made a few minutes ago. Right there, yep. Yep. That one, yep. And oh, a minute ago, this had,
Had something before.
yeah, oh, that's okay. We'll do it again. Let's so just paste this part. I'm not sure. Well, actually, hold on one second. Press, oh, you got it. Good. So there's that. But can you do one favor? Can you do Command Z a couple times just to see if we can recover that work? No, never mind. Okay. That's okay. We'll just do it again real quick. I'm not sure. So my wallet component, you've got that file open, right? Copy all that. We'll paste that into GraphQL test. You can leave this there too. Yeah, we'll get back to this in just a second. So underneath that, just paste the other part, and then we'll combine those two things.
Have to, let me go get it.
Oh, you've got this part.
I have this one already?
Yeah,
Oh,
but we need the other part
I
from the
need
my
to
what
get
we need. Yeah, we need this exactly. Oh, there it is. Here, pull all that in. I see what happened. All right, do me a favor. We're gonna copy that,
uh-huh.
move it to the top of this file for now. Well, I guess you can move it to uh
Like
yeah,
this.
we'll move things around in just a second. But then let's get rid of, we don't want this file, my wallet component copy. So save GraphQL test.
I think that I changed my wallet component.
Yeah, that's okay. It was a copy of the file anyway. You see how it says the word copy there? This can be safely deleted now. So you
But
can delete.
I modified this component.
I know
Instead of,
you made a copy first, which is good. So that means we can delete it, right? If you look at the file to the right-hand side, my wallet component, that's your original.
oh, I
You
have
got
to,
me?
yeah.
Yeah, you've got one that has the word copy. You can delete that one. But wait, just here. What you can actually do if you move your mouse up to the top of the screen,
Uh-huh.
there's the one that says the tab that's currently open, my wallet component copy.
This
Is
one.
like is the zoom toolbar covering up the top of your screen?
Not right now.
Oh, yeah, so the file you have open, that tab, yeah, just right click on that tab. Just on the tab itself,
Yeah,
and you should be able to delete this file. No?
I don't see
Oh,
any option.
okay. Well, then, yeah, we need to make sure we're deleting the right one. Okay, so you have it highlighted over there. Sorry. So I guess just right click on the file name on the left-hand side then and try to delete that. Or try it a little down lower. You see how it shows up again down below under components. Try that one. Can we delete that?
Let me see if I'm, yes, this one.
Yeah, delete that file. All right, cool.
Okay.
So now we're working with this GraphQL test, but look, now you've got an error and this is perfect. So save this file for just a second. Yeah. And then you see how the index.tsx file on the left-hand side is red now? We've got an error, but
What?
this is an expected error. So open up index.tsx. So over on the left side, it's red. And go to the top of the screen, and what you'll see is that we were importing GraphQL test from that old file. We don't have that anymore. We just deleted it.
Uh-huh.
So for components, just highlight my wallet component copy at the end of line 8.
Uh, this one.
Yep, just highlight from the word my to the end and delete that. Everything after components gets deleted. And we replace it with GraphQL test. All right. So now we've
Save.
got this component loaded in. Now we can save this. Now there's still going to be an error, but that's okay. We're watching the terminal down there. It's not working yet because we got to rearrange a few lines of code in GraphQL test. Let's head over there. All right. Now what we really want is the import line, line 13. Move that to the top. And here's how you're going to do it. Hold the Alt key. Watch this. I'm going to teach you a trick. Hold the Alt key and press the up arrow.
Alt key
And up arrow.
hmm, I don't know what is that.
Do you have arrow keys? I'm not sure what the word is.
Uh, oops.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'll show you sometime when I'm sharing screen. All right, you can
Okay.
just copy and paste this to the top. All the way up above line 1. Yeah. You want this to be line 1.
Okay.
Cool. Now we want lines 17 through 24. We're going to cut those and we're going to paste them inside of the function. In between lines 3 and 6. Okay. Now, this gives us a small error, but we can handle this, okay? So now we're seeing that we have this await function that we're not actually allowed to use by itself. Mouse over the word await to see what the error says. Okay. It says await expressions are only allowed within async functions. Luckily, we can fix this one quick way, and we're not going to go all the way into all the things React does for us to help with this, because we're just going to start with a simple example. But if you add the word async on line 3 before the word function, now we don't have that error anymore. Okay, what error do we have though? We still have an error on over there. That's good. And we'll be able to look at why in just a second. All right. So save this for the moment. And yeah, I want to finish getting you set up. Um, there's some, oh, they give us this example. I wasn't even looking this far in the docs. Check it out. If you go back to the documentation, scroll down a little farther, and this is a better example. This will be a little bit easier for us to use. Okay. So yeah, let's grab that first line, import GraphQL client from GraphQL. Well, no, we don't. Let's not do that yet. Uh, no, let's not do that yet. Um, Sorry, let's go back to your code editor. I'm trying to think of the best way to get this running quickly. And it's going to be to fix the error in index. So yeah, we're going to have a little data here in just a second. But where do you see the error? Line 72?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's scroll down to line 72. And so the problem is, mouse over that, we can read it here too, okay? So this can't be used anymore just directly on the page because there's some dynamic data attached to it. So there's a few ways to do this. And we're going to need to hack a little bit right here. because I'm trying to think of the fastest way. I have a code example for this. Bear with me just 1 second. I want to give you a really good example. You know what? Let's just try this. And let's see if we can get this to work. So what we're going to do is what you now have a dynamic component. Okay, so GraphQL test, we put the word async in it, we put that await function in there. No, this is not the best way to do this. Um, sorry, I'm a teacher and I'm unprepared for this lesson, so I'm scrambling a little bit to think of the best way to show you how to do this. And I'm sorry about my indecision here. Yeah, we should have pulled in. Hmm. So basically what we did, I tried to get us using a simple library, but because we're using a simple library, we don't have some of the functionality of a better library. But I think we can finish this. And then if we have time, I'll show you another way to do it. Um, so let's keep going with this approach. We're going to use a React feature that allows us to kind of isolate a component, okay? So if you go up a little bit, just to the top of this function, right under the name home, in between lines 11 and 12. Yeah, make a new line in between those lines.
After the curly brackets,
Yeah, under that. Yep, perfect. Const, C-O-N-S-T.
CO,
Here, I'll type it.
like, oh,
And then we're going to give this a name. We're going to give it lowercase g this time. GraphQL test. And we're going to set that equal to, make sure to use an equal sign, await, and then the capital G GraphQL test that we are importing. Okay. And then you can open and close the parentheses. All right, good. Now, once again, we have this squiggly red line under the word await. We have to make home an async function as well. Let's do that. On line 11, before function, add async. Great. Okay. Now we're going to use that lowercase g GraphQL test. I'm not sure if this is going to work. We might have to do a few more things, but let's just see. Go down to line 73 where the problem is. Okay, and let's just delete that. Yeah, just line 73. And instead, write the word, well, and get rid of that slash right there with the squiggly red. Okay, and inside here, write the word capital S, suspense. Yeah, and get rid of that space. Okay, and add a closing tag for that. Oh, just you need the full one. You see how like div on line 75 is a closing tag for line 73? Get
Yes.
rid of that slash. We want to have this.
Which one? I'm sorry.
Here, I'll type it in the chat. The whole get here. Your goal is to have what I just typed in the chat.
Oh, open and close it. Okay.
Get rid of that last slash. Good. All right, now inside of those tags, we're going to add some curly brackets. Okay. So now you're going to have, I'll type this in the chat too. Um, with graph lowercase g GraphQL test in there. All right, good. No problems here. Good. So save this and run your server. Let's just check this out in the browser for just a second. Okay. So back to the browser where we can look at the local host. And refresh this page. All right, it's not working. Um, all right. Here, do you mind if I take over?
Yep.
Thanks for getting us this far. And yeah, that wasn't really the right path to lead us down. Okay, so let's do this in a more sustainable way. Um, but we are getting some ideas here. You can stop sharing screen and I'll share over here.
Okay.
Thanks for letting us try that, everybody. It's good practice. All right, instead, this library does allow us to do a lot more, and I just wasn't sure if we should start here. But you'll see a lot of the concepts we just looked at, and let's see how quickly we can use this guy. I'm going to demonstrate the process I was just walking through with Chris. That froze. All right. All right. All right. So TanStack provides, well, that's going to be too wide. All right. TanStack provides us with some really nice stuff for querying. We can jump into the docs right here. We can look at the installation instructions. This looks familiar based on what we were just looking at. Here's your npm install. I happen to be using Yarn in our project, so that's what we'll use. Jump over here to the code editor, and we'll just make sure that's installed. Cool. Now, that's not enough by itself. We're going to need GraphQL as well. So let's see if we can find GraphQL. Here it is. What else do we need? We need GraphQL from GQL. I'm not sure if I've installed that yet. No. And here's GraphQL. Okay, so we were just using GraphQL request. So this uses, aha. So this is going to use the library that Chris was just using. Good, so we did need that, all right. But we're also going to use TanStack to make things easier, and you'll see why in just a second. Excellent. We're also going to be able to jump straight in. Well, I guess this is probably a utility that we can use. So let me install GraphQL as well. But where is it? I'm just doing this off screen, Yarn adding that, so that's ready to go. All right, and then let's give ourselves a spot to try this little experiment. So over here, so now I've got GraphQL, GraphQL request, and TanStack React query using all three of these. And in my index, I have a bunch of different components as well. Let's just make another one called GraphQL test. And let's build it over in, where's my components? Oh, there they are up there. Same thing. I'm just going to grab any file, use it as boilerplate, but most of this I don't need. And so, all right, I got a GraphQL component ready to go right here. Now into it, I want to try this right here. So let me just grab all of this code right here, copy it that way. And let's try it over here. So I got a couple of imports I want to pull in. Hmm. Sure. Oh, but this. There's a library I like better for this. Let's see if we can find it. Library hasn't been updated in 7 years, but it doesn't need to be because it works. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. It says it's all right. Let's make sure we use this right. What's wrong with this? And now, what else could it be important? So I'm still getting the error here. No. All right. Something's missing there. All right, let's see. How do I use the GraphQL library? Try this instead. Okay. This might be our simplest working example. I can't promise it'll work. Let's find out. Okay, but I'll talk you through this. And sorry for not having this ready in advance. I wasn't really thinking about where we'd pick up right here. So thanks for the chance to look at this. So we're pulling in the same GraphQL request that Chris was a moment ago. We're adding on top of it the TanStack React query library. Okay. What do we do? Well, this is our main function, right? And inside of it, we do a few things. One, we define this GraphQL query. Then, number two, we make the query using use query hook. And now, if this works, we should be able to look at some data. Let's find out. We're going to use this trick that we used earlier in one of our sessions, json.stringify, and we're just going to read all of the data. If I wrap it in some free tags like this, it'll be like formatted like computer text, like monocode, and we'll have some spacing. Let's see if this works. I don't know if it will. Oh, No query client set. Of course not. We need the provider. Correct. Okay. Very good. So we were using, I thought we could get away with not having a provider because our API call is like this, but that's okay. It's better practice to set up what's called a provider. So let's do that. Okay. Yeah, of course we need that. All right, so I'm going to add the query client provider. I'll show you where I'm adding these in just a minute. And then right here, we just wrap our app in this. So I'm going to save this over here, and then we're going to move it. So this gives us a couple things right here. First of all, I haven't imported query client yet. Let's fix that. We're going to import it from TanStack. There it is. Then these guys are going to come down here, and we can just wrap our whole div in these. We don't need the to-dos, but we will need to import this same way. All right, so there it is. This, what doesn't it like? Cannot be used as a jet. Yeah, okay. All right, this has to be at the app level. So I can't do this on the route that I'm playing with, this little component. I actually have to do it at the app level, and that's fine. So I'm actually going to grab this here and move it over to my underscore app, where, for example, we already have a mesh provider set up. And let's grab this guy right here. We'll put that inside of the mesh provider. Now we'll have to bring these imports over, but we don't need the use query host. And over here, we don't need these anymore. So there's no errors here. That's good. These errors are just built in. We haven't been worried about those, but what's going on over here? Same thing. Yeah. Let me see if this works. Can't hurt to take a quick look. Aha, we got it. All right, so there's bugs in the code, and that's beyond the scope of what we'll cover right now. But here is a GraphQL response. Okay, so now let's change that. We've got just a couple minutes. Instead of using, this looks like Netlify, it's giving us a list of films, right? That's why we're seeing movie titles right here. Let's replace this with a dandelion endpoint. Oh, that's down right now. How about pre-prod endpoint? We've got that. All right. So we can use this URL right here instead. I'm going to drop this here. And maybe I want to see the metadata for a token. Got a mesh learner token with a policy ID. All right, cool. So we're gonna try to find some metadata that goes with this policy ID right here. And to do that, Let's write a function. So here's the GraphQL playground. We can build our query here, and once we've got it working, then we can use it. So policy ID is going to be a string. And it might not be able to be a byte, a string, but it'll give us a warning if that's the case. And we want to look for transactions where mint asset. I'm just using the autocomplete. I haven't memorized all of this. Okay. Is equal to policy ID. Okay. So we want all the transactions where a token with a given policy ID was minted. Let's get a little more room here. Okay. And then what do we want? Then we want this to return some metadata. Did we say anything beyond that? Value? Oh, key and value. Good. Okay. Let's see if that's enough. So there is metadata for the policy ID that I just grabbed over here. If I run this, oh, look, policy ID is not a string, but look, there's a helpful message. It is a hash 28 hex. So let's fix that. Let's try it now. Perfect. So that was a good error message. All we have to do is follow it, and this is what we get. Now we've got metadata 721 with images and names for some tokens that we've been playing around with on pre-prod. Cool. And now we can take this query instead, and we can pull it into our app over here. So instead of this query, just delete that. Let's use the query I just wrote. Now I'm pretty sure coming back over to TypeScript, I'm going to be able to replace this hash 28 hex, but I won't do that yet. All right, we already changed the URL. Let's all tx metadata. That's going to be the name of our function here. And instead of just asking for the first 10, now we can say that our variable policy ID is this. Doesn't look like there's any errors here, but I'm not 100% sure that that hash 28 hex is going to work. Let's find out. Oh, looks like it did. Cool. So here in the application, here's some Cardano data. Same data we were looking at. And if I go back to the GraphQL playground, I don't have to stick to just metadata, right? If I want to know when this was minted, I could include included at. And now there's a timestamp on each of these. If I wanted to include outputs, what are the addresses that these transactions went to? I include that. And look, there we have some addresses. I update my query over here. And now if I go back to the app, if I go back to the app, now I can see some other data as well. I can see a timestamp on each transaction, the metadata that I had already, addresses and the outputs. And this is where you can start being creative with queries. So I hope that this was helpful to see it this way. And thanks Thanks for your patience as we figured out a way to look at this today. But now we have a pattern that we can use. Okay, so next week, I promise to have, oh, wait, I'm not going to be here next week. My kids are, I'm going to be spending the day with my kids next Tuesday. Um, but we can pick up here in 2 weeks by now using this metadata to look at what some images look like on the screen. But I recommend if anybody has time, try to follow you right here, these last 20 minutes. This is recorded. See if you can get this to work. And if you do, then you can play with that. Any questions before we break? All right, y'all, we're building little bit by little bit. Now that we've got our hands in some queries, I'm really excited. Also, let's finish the NFT stuff. I'll make a note on the Miro board that that's what we'll do next time. And then we can really start digging into what Mesh can actually do for us, building some transactions, that kind of thing. But yeah, looking forward to all of it. Have a good day, everybody.
I thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks.
Bye bye.